Estate and Crime with me. I am here all by my lonesome today. My assistant is not here. She is doing holiday stuff. It is Saturday, so it is a holiday, or 2 days after Thanksgiving, and I have been craving apple pie. I got some apple pies over Thanksgiving, and for some reason they just didn't quite hit the spot. I'm still craving apple pie. Anyway, so I went online and I decided that I was going to do a cooking with Lou and show you guys this excellent recipe that I just found. And we're going to show you how to make an easy apple pie, and it's actually cream cheese apple pie. The recipe is called cream cheese apple pie. Very inventive there. So I got some of the prepping already done because obviously cutting a bunch of apples takes time. So in order to save some time, I figured I would just get a little bit of that out of the way. All right, so today what I wanted to do is actually go ahead and have a conversation too about California and what it takes to get a real estate license in California, and a couple of crimes that I found on the web that occurred in California. It's going to be a little bit awkward. I'm going to be talking to myself, so just hang in there, guys. We'll learn something good. Anyway, let me see. Let me go ahead and finish cutting up these apples, and we can talk about getting our real estate license in California. So, California is not doesn't reciprocate with other states to get your real estate license. If you want to get your real estate license, or if you have your real estate license or your broker's license anywhere else, you still have to go and take their classes and take the California exam. I'm sure that you don't have to take the national exam again, but you at least do have to take the California exam. What I saw online was that the classes really bizarre. I thought it would be a little bit more complicated, but they only require 3 classes, 135 hours in order to get your real estate license in California. So, I mean, that's really only 3 classes. They had 2 mandatory classes, which was probably Principles of Real Estate 1 and 2, and then they gave you 1 elective that you could take. And they had a list of different electives that you can take as far as if you wanted to do marketing or contracts or property management, or, I mean, they had the same kind of thing that we do here in Texas, but their classes were only 135 hours, which, I don't know. Texas, we're complicated, I guess. I don't know. Ours is like 260, I think, and then you can take your exam, or was it 180? And then you can take your exam, and then after you get your license, you still have to take another 90 hours of classes. Anyway, all right, and then California actually doesn't require that you be a resident in California either. They didn't say anything about an age restriction, but I'm guessing that at least you have to be 18 in order to get your license there, but I mean, I guess I could be wrong. They really didn't say. One major difference about California that I've noticed that most states do not allow, and is that if you have a felony, California does allow you to get your real estate license. Who thunk it, right? And they don't just automatically let you get your real estate license. You do have to go through like a application process. So I guess they do review your application on a panel or something, and they determine if they're going to allow you to get your real estate license based on the type of crime that you were convicted of. But I mean, it said felony, so you can commit a felony and still get your real estate license in California. I mean, I guess that's all right. Here in Texas, usually I don't think that we allow you to get your real estate license. It might be similar actually, where it's a little bit more complicated though, because there's certain crimes that you definitely will not be able to get your real estate license with. But they do allow you to apply for a waiver depending on the type of crime that you committed. So, all right, let's take a look at this recipe. It's delicious. I mean, I looked at that recipe and it was just screaming at me, you know, to make it. So, cream cheese apple pie. It requires flour, baking powder, and I'll post the recipe on the link for this episode, so that if you guys decide that you want to make it, you can. There's also alterations that you can do. I mean, with any kind of recipe, you can make alterations, but I was thinking about putting, you know, I mean, if you wanted, some people like pecans or walnuts in their apple pie. I don't know, some people do. BS actually pretty good if it had strawberries or something like that. So you can do all kinds of stuff with it. All right, so it says to chop up about 4 apples, preheat our oven to 350, and spray our 10-inch pan with a nonstick baking spray. I'm not a very big fan of baking spray, so I'm probably just going to put butter on it. And I had, oh my gosh, it's Saturday, so obviously Black Friday was just yesterday. And I avoid stores like the plague on that day. But obviously I had to go get some ingredients because I don't always keep apple pie spice in my house, or, you know, I mean, some of these things I didn't have. Instant vanilla pudding. Actually, I probably do have instant vanilla pudding, but I've just forgotten what I've got in my cupboards. And I definitely didn't have whole milk, so I had to go to the store, and that was freaking terrifying. I was not looking forward to that at all. I almost changed my mind and decided not to make the pie, because I just do not like going shopping the day after Black Friday. I figured it was going to be an insane nightmare, and I was just not doing it. But I drove into the parking lot, and I figured that's what I would do first. I would drive through the parking lot, and if it was just nuts, then I would just go away. And I was shocked as shit. It was empty. The parking lot was practically empty. I actually got a parking space right at the front of the store. I was very, very surprised about that. So thankfully, I guess, good for you guys, because you're getting some time with me today. Anyway, all right, so our cream cheese mixture, we're going to beat together our cream cheese and 3/4 of a cup of sugar until smooth. All right, so I got my bowl here. I'm gonna dry it out real quick. It's a pretty big bowl. I don't know if I really need this big of a bowl, but whatever. All right, so we need cream cheese, 12 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature, and I'm gonna put this thing back up over here. Here's my cream cheese. And what else did it call for? Sugar. 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And then it wants me to add the teaspoon of vanilla extract and then set aside. I should use that for my crust. Let me see if I can find another bowl. All right, these things are 8 ounces each. So I guess we only need half of this, which is retarded. What am I going to do with half a thing of cream cheese? I think I'm just going to go ahead and use all of it. So then I'm going to do 1 cup of sugar instead. Let's modify that. Let's just do it in here. That should do. Maybe. We'll see. All right. So the crimes that I found in California, obviously a lot of crimes have happened to real estate agents in California. One interesting, this is not going to be easy. I need scissors. One interesting tidbit that I read while I was doing all this research was the statistics for real estate agents. The crime against real estate agents is pretty high. There's at least 75 murders against real estate agents a year all over the world, and it's not just in California, so don't go freaking out. Not all over the world, sorry, my bad. In the United States, there's only about 75 a year. Oh my gosh, this is just not cooperating. It's supposed to be easy, but these things are never easy. Anyway, here we go. I'm spoiled with my little tiny packages where they're just, you just cut it and squeeze it out. All right. What the heck is going on today? They really glued these things together so you don't take them apart. There was several crimes that I found in California that I thought we could talk about. The majority of the crimes that I found were all related to people getting mugged or raped or attacked while doing open houses. Oh my gosh, this is stupid. And then what the? Things do not like me today. The one crime that I found that was kind of bizarre is, and I don't mean bizarre, but shocked me a little bit was, I'm going to look at my websites because since I'm here by myself, I am going to probably refer back to the internet a couple of times. All right, so in Mendocino County, there was a David Charles Ryan who says that they were a prominent local realtor who was arrested for multiple sex crimes and could face up to 25 years in prison. And this was just recently. He was arrested in August. And he had apparently, they didn't really explain a lot of the crime, but he apparently, and I usually use sugar in the raw whenever I cook. I don't really like white sugar, so I use sugar in the raw instead. And I mean, I don't know if it really makes much of a difference for cooking, or baking or whatever, but it should be fine. To me, it just tastes better and I feel healthier for it. I don't know if it's maybe just a placebo effect or something. So we're putting a whole cup of this in there. I'm probably making a mess all over the place. Anyway, so let's put a little bit more. And maybe that's what the problem is with brown sugar. Sometimes you have to just put a little bit more in it. And I do use regular sugar on occasion, but I have a preference. All right. This might get a little noisy. I'm not sure how this is going to work with y'all. But, so let me pause this and mix my stuff up real quick, because I don't know if it's going to sound all that good for you guys. And this shouldn't take me but a minute. And then we'll get back to our discussion about this creep in California. Not that anybody would be surprised about that. These things drive me nuts. I don't know. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Let's see. That way, maybe? That way? Yay. Okay. All right. So let me pause you guys real quick and let me just mix this up real quick and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, that took a little bit longer than I expected, but here is my creamy, delicious cream cheese and sugar. It's pretty good. That was a bit of a pain in the ass in that small tiny bowl though. So probably should have gone with a bigger one. Anyway, all right, so this is supposed to sit on its ass, but it's quite not so. I think, oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so we got that done. Now we need to do the flour mixture, the crust. All right, we need to combine our flour, baking powder, butter, salt, milk, egg, and pudding mix in a large bowl. All right, so where did, oh, egg. It just calls for 1 egg. So got my 1 egg. Got my flour. How much of flour? 3/4 of a cup of flour. All right. Got my 1/3. Got my 1/4. Got my half. All right, so let's just do a half and 1/4. Now I've got my flour in here that we can use. Nope, that ain't gonna work. All right, so it looks like this guy in California was a repeat offender. Like he had done this before. And I don't really understand. And he didn't go to jail or anything. I think that he wound up pleading and getting probation or something. But his crime that he was arrested for just recently was for assault. Hang on a second. I was confused. There wasn't a lot of information about the crime that he had committed. Let me see. There was a criminal complaint that was filed. Sexual penetration with a foreign object with force. That sounds like rape to me, but I don't know. Maybe there was, I don't know. It says the criminal complaint indicates a special allegation has been filed against Ryan because the previously described charge of sexual penetration with a foreign object with force was committed during the commission of burglary in the first degree. So he could face up to 25 years in prison. They don't really explain exactly what he did, but there was another case about him that I read that he had some sort of sex crime against a child as well. So I didn't really want to get into that one. He was a real estate agent in Windermere Platinum Real Estate Services in Ukiah Field office. But obviously they terminated him and no longer is a real estate agent with that company. All right, so since there wasn't really a lot of information, I went down to the comments because on this Mendo Fever? MendoFever.com website didn't really have a lot of information. And it seems like, yeah, from Mendocino, it seems like he was a predator before. And there's one lady that said that he would break into people's houses that he had just sold or was listing the property and assault them in their sleep. I'm not it's not funny at all. It's not funny. It's horrible. But it's just like, wow, how could he be a real estate agent for 25 years and still be doing, oh my gosh, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, so he's in jail now. He's been arrested. Now, I did read there that he had bail, that they were holding him without bail, so he's off the streets. Thank goodness. But that was just like such a bizarre, like how could you be doing this repeatedly and nobody sends you to fucking prison? Or how you keep your real estate license. I mean, that's the bizarre thing for me. All right, so we got to combine our flour, baking powder, butter, salt, milk, and egg. All right, let's see if I've got baking powder already. I bought stuff because I wasn't sure what I had in my cabinets, but I don't know if I've got baking powder. There's baking powder. Okay. Got cornstarch. And here's some baking powder. All right. I need a teaspoon of baking powder. I already used this for wet stuff. All right, so there was, like I said, I saw in an article that they were talking about lots of crimes against real estate agents in California. Very common for some reason. There was one case where a lady was at an open house and I clearly don't use this baking soda often enough. Baking powder. Yeah, baking powder. She was at an open house and had shown this property or had allowed this man into the property once before, but got a really creepy feeling about him. So when he came to the open house the second time, she was about to leave and he showed up. And I mean, that's how planned this guy was. He showed up right before she was done with the open house. So he had clearly been like stalking her or something. And she refused to show him the house. Good on her. And the house that she was showing had a security camera right at the door. And she was standing at the door. And he obviously was trying to get her to go back in. But she wouldn't do it. She said that he had already seen the house before. And she had had a bad feeling about him the first time around. So she just wasn't comfortable letting him back in the house. And he actually looked at the camera and saw the camera and then still proceeded to attack this woman. Thankfully, she screamed her bloody head off. Half a teaspoon of salt. Well, that's gone. She proceeded to scream her bloody head off. He like pushed her, like shook her hand, and right after she touched him, or she held his hand, he grabbed her and pushed her into the bushes that were right beside the house, groped her and hit her, and then as she was screaming bloody murder and in the front of this house, and then he ran off. So she was fine. She didn't get raped or anything like that, because he like immediately ran off after she started screaming bloody murder. Poor lady. She was basically shoved into the bushes on the side of the house, and the only thing that you really see in the video is her screaming her bloody head off, obviously him like pushing at her and shoving her and try to climb on top of her, and all you see is her feet sticking out from behind the bushes on this video camera. So it's not funny at all. But I had a little like flashback to the Wizard of Oz. All right, I made a mistake on that one. Too full. We put our salt in there, and let's see. Okay, flour, baking powder, salt, pudding mix. That's all my dry stuff. I have to do all my dry stuff first, and then I'm going to put the wet stuff in a minute here. All right, so that was our second crime. I'm going to need to Google some more crimes, because, you know, we're going to get through this pretty quick, and I'm not even done with my pie. The vanilla pudding, instant pudding. And then it asks for milk, half a cup of whole milk, and what's the other wet stuff? Butter. How much butter am I putting in there? Where's the butter? Where's the butter? Where's the butter? I don't see the butter. What the heck? Apples, cream cheese, sugar. It doesn't say. Butter. Where's the butter? Oh, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. There it is. I was losing my mind for a second. All right. So once we get all of this in here, I'm going to pause the video again so that we can mix this up real quick. 3 tablespoons. And half a cup of milk. And since I don't drink a lot of milk, this is whole milk. It asked for whole milk, so I went and bought a little bit of whole milk. Okay. Beat at medium speed for 2 minutes and scrape down the bowl and beaters as needed. Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a second so that I can beat up my dry mixture. And I don't know why I'm looking at my video. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right, the next part is the spicy stuff. Basically, you just need to do 1 cup or 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 tablespoon of apple pie spice. What is this called? Apple pie spice. So that's what I've got in my little bowl here. And I'm just mixing it up. And I've already buttered our pie thing over here. So I'm going to start putting the crust in there. I had forgotten how messy baking was. So, oh, this is messy. But we got one more crime to talk about that I found that was a little bit more convoluted. So let me go up here. It says former realtor sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for running nearly $4 million in fraud that scammed distressed homeowners. This one was kind of, well, not weird, but I guess I'm going to start putting, it says to put using an offset spatula. Don't know what that means. Spread the crust evenly in the bottom of your 10-inch pie. Do not spread the batter up the sides of the pan, only on the bottom. All right, so we're going to put this pie in, this crust in here. And then we're just going to spread it around until we get it evenly along the bottom of this pie thing. And I might pause this again if it looks like I'm having trouble. Anyway, it's doing pretty good. All right, this guy and his wife, Maria Marcela Gonzalez, and Ernesto Diaz. Now, that doesn't mean that they weren't married, but they didn't have the same last name. They ran a scam in California, and this was back in 2011. 10 and 11 is what it says. That basically, man, this stuff it's weird. It's sticking, but it's not sticking. So it'll stick and then it'll come off. Maybe I shouldn't have used so much butter. I don't know. We'll work it out. Basically, they would have these seminars for homeowners that were having trouble with their mortgage, making their mortgage payments and stuff like that. And they would have these seminars on how to completely eliminate your mortgage debt. Should have said something right then and there. And so they would get all these personal information from these homeowners, and they would claim to, pay us $5,000, or I don't know how much it was, but I'm sure it wasn't just some low amount. I'm sure it was probably some significant number, and we can help you eliminate your debt, eliminate your mortgage. I mean, I'm sorry. I know when you're desperate, but at some point, you gotta put some thought into something that you're doing, and if it's too good to be true, or if it doesn't make sense, or if it costs you anything, don't do it, because I guarantee it's probably a scam. There's really no other way to really explain that. All right, I think, my arm hurts now. Yeah, this is why I don't like baking. It's just not very me. Prefer to cook. Easy peasy. Baking is a little bit more complicated. And there's this big old lump in the middle. I'm afraid that it's gonna put all the dough in the middle and nothing on the sides. That's what it is. This is kind of like dough. And so it's not quite dough, but it's more or less dough. So it's just kind of going down and then coming back up. And see, I should have just left it alone. Maybe that spatula thing has something to do with making this easier. Okay. I think that's it. Let me try this. Maybe it'll work better with my fingers. After this, I'm going to Google whatever that spatula is, because maybe that would have made this easier. Okay. Well, anyway, these people were scamming them. They would pay all this money, and then people would still wind up getting foreclosed on. And I mean, people, mortgages. If you are behind on your mortgage company is who you should speak to, because you have the possibility, everybody has the potential of being able to do a modification or, some sort of forbearance on it. So, I mean, at some point, I don't want to blame the victim or anything like that, but at some point people have to kind of take some responsibility for the stupid decisions they make. All right, so after we get the crust in there, we gotta spread the apple chunks over the crust. And I was actually thinking about taking the apples and putting some, I don't know, I like my apples kind of tart. So I thought about getting some lime or lemon or something and putting it on the apple. All right, it says not to, what does it say? Spread the apple chunks over the crust. Be sure not to spread the apples to the edge. Leave a small gap along the edges to allow the crust to rise while baking. All right, so it doesn't specify how much room to leave, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave about 1/2 inch around. The edges. And I actually cut up 5 apples because I like my apples. I like my apples in my apple pie. But this might be a little bit too much, so I may not use all of this on this pie. I think it calls for 4 apples and I did 5, but this looks like it's almost too much even for that. This probably could have made 2 pies. I wonder how much more I should put on there. All right, don't press the apples in because then it would cut into the crust on the bottom. We don't really want that. I don't know how much more of this I want to put on. I'm trying to stack it without really stacking it too much because then I'm going to have to put that cream cheese stuff over it. Yeah. Now I remember why I don't like baking. We'll see. It's probably not going to be all that great. Anyway, okay, so this guy gets a little twisty. He gets arrested and takes a plea bargain. So he admits to all that fraud and everything, and he admits to defrauding people, and he agrees to, this is my pie, cream cheese stuff. And I need another one of those spatula thingies. He agrees to go to prison. However, nope. Spatulas. He jumps bail. Or I don't know if bail is the right word to say, but he rather than he takes a plea, but then leaves the country. Uh-oh. I might need to concentrate on this. All right, I am going to pause you guys for just a minute. And when I come back, hopefully this icing is, I don't know, this is a disaster. I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if anybody can see me, or I don't know what you guys are seeing. Let me see. Oh, no, you guys can't see it. Oh, my bad. Sorry, guys. All right, so this is our lovely pie, and I'm guessing it's going to look better once it actually cooks. It looks tasty. I made a little bit of a mistake and forgot to put the spice in between the apple and the cream cheese, but I did put a little bit on there. All right. That means cream cheese. Now it says to put the rest of the apple spice and sugar mixture over the top. We're just going to try to evenly spread it around. Now that we've got this done, I can actually tell you guys a little bit more about the other case, because that one is definitely interesting. Well, I guess I already kind of covered most of it, but all right, so he winds up leaving the country and becoming a fugitive. He took a plea, he admitted to his guilt, he agreed to do the restitution, and then he fled the country to Mexico for 7 to 8 years. And then he was finally caught in 2019. All right, we are done. So what we're going to do is, excuse me, bake the pie for 50 minutes. I am not 100% sure which rack to put it on, but we'll just put it on the one that's there right now. And if I need to move it, I'll move it. Woo! That is a hot bitch. All right, so we are going to set the timer for 50 minutes. Aha! Voila! All right. Oh, that was probably not a good idea. Anyway, let's see what else happens with this gentleman. I will just pause once we get a little bit further into this. I will pause the video, and then I'll unpause it when our pie is done, so you guys can see the finished pie. Anyway, let's go back to our case over here for just a minute and get the last little details. Yeah, clients would sign up. Let me minimize that. Okay, so it was a seminar that Diaz and Gonzalez guaranteed that the Crown Point program would be successful and would have cleared their mortgage problems. Now, how they were going to clear that, they would never tell the people, because, I mean, obviously that's not something that you can do. I mean, that's just stupid. The only way to clear up a mortgage is to freaking pay your mortgage payment. Anyway, after clients signed up for the program and paid a fee, usually $15,000 per property. Holy shit. I mean, if people are having problems, I don't know. It's just, they can't pay their mortgage. I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than that. Diaz and Gonzalez directed others to mail packets of information to the client's lenders that falsely asserted that the client's mortgages were invalid and that mortgages would be extinguished if the lenders did not respond. Okay, it's not like the credit bureau where you can dispute the oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Where you could dispute the discrepancy, and if they didn't respond within 30 days, the credit bureau would take it off of your credit report. That's what this basically sounded like. Well, we'll just send your lenders a invalid mortgage letter, and if they don't get rid of it within 30 days, if they don't take care of it within 30 days, your mortgage is null and void. Many of the mailed documents were notarized to create the appearance of legitimacy, and at times using the notary stamp of Diaz's own sister without her knowledge or consent. Weird. In fact, Crown Point had no success in eliminating customer mortgage debt, and many customers, including Diaz's brother, lost their homes. I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, Yeah, it's just horrible. One integral part of the scheme involved the filing of unauthorized bankruptcy petitions to delay the foreclosure process, leaving the victims with the impression that the Crown Point program was working and inducing them to continue making payments, but damaging clients' credit ratings in the process. So I'm guessing that they would put these people on a payment plan for that $15,000. Gonzalez pled guilty in July 2015 to 2 counts of superseding information, charging her with making a false statement in a bankruptcy declaration. Judge Wilson sentenced her to 70 months in federal prison. Yeek. The FBI investigated this matter. All right, so and it was all homeowners that had fallen behind on their mortgage payments during the financial crisis of 07 and 08. So they were just taking advantage of that insanity. Was sentenced. Okay, so Ernesto Diaz, 66, a former realtor and former El Monte resident, was sentenced by the United States Federal District Judge Stephen V. Wilson, who also ordered Diaz to pay $3 million, blah, 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 in restitution to his victims. At the conclusion of a 3-day trial, a federal jury on September 13 found Diaz guilty of 1 count of conspiracy, 2 counts of mail fraud affecting a financial institution, and 1 count of mail fraud. The jury acquitted him on 1 mail fraud count, whatever. And then Diaz fled to Mexico after entering into a plea agreement in this case in 2012, pleading guilty on September 9th to a separate count of failure to appear in court while released on bond. He was a fugitive for 7 years until the FBI arrested him in October of 2019. Okay. A federal grand jury in February of 2020 returned a superseding indictment against him, which led to this year's trial. Okay, so they didn't actually. He pled to something else that he pled guilty on a count of failure to appear in court. So, my bad. Anyway, my doggies are trying to tell me that they're hungry. I will pause the video for right now, so thank you for joining me, but I will be back and I'll show you our made pie once that's done cooking. So, see you soon. Okay, pie's still not done, but I'm cooking one of my meals, and since I'm chopping so much garlic and ginger and stuff, I wanted to get one of those squeezy things that you get at the store that's like for mincing garlic, make it a little bit easier for myself, but I couldn't find one. They were completely sold out. They had this little garlic thing, and I thought that I would give that a try just because, I needed something. Well, anyway, I tried it on the ginger, and that didn't quite work out so well. I think the ginger is a little bit too stringy for it, so it doesn't spin as much as it should. And for the garlic, it works like a charm. I put 1 clove in there, and it works really, really well. But the one thing that they didn't take into account is how do you get it out? There's all the waste. Like I was doing that number to get all the garlic out, and a lot of it came out, but then there's a bunch of waste in there. So, disappointing. Anyway, guess we're just going to keep doing it the old-fashioned way. And chopping it. So, I'll be back in a little bit once our pie's done. And it's still got another 18 minutes. So, talk to you soon. I had a little bit of a computer glitch, or I don't know what happened. Every time I minimized the recording thing to look on the Safari website, it froze the video for some reason. I don't know what. So this episode is going to have a couple of glitches in it, but at least the sound will work pretty good. The last little bit, I didn't check the sound, so whenever I showed you guys the finished pie, it didn't have any sound. So apologies there, but I wanted to show you all. I ate all my dinner like a big girl, and now I'm having myself a little piece of dessert. And this is my apple pie. It's kind of hard to see, but anyway, it actually does, the crust does come up a little bit on the sides here, and it does do pretty well. And then everything looks very tasty. It smells delicious. The apples are a little bit crunchy. They probably could have cooked a little bit longer. But the crust looks good. It's not overcooked on the bottom either. So 50 minutes probably is pretty good. But it is good. Oh yeah. This definitely hits the spot. It's got enough sweet and a little bit of tangy in there because of the cream cheese. Yeah. This is going to be a big favorite of mine. So, this is a good holiday pie and easy to make. And you would impress your in-laws because this does taste a lot better than anything that I've seen in the store. American National kind of takes the cake, takes the pie. Their pies are freaking fantastic, but this ain't bad either. Good. Well, thank you again for joining me for another episode of Cooking, Real Estate, and Crime. And join us next time for another episode. We're still in the C's, so I'm not sure which state we're going to go with, whether it's going to be Colorado, Connecticut. I'm sure there's more C's. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But hope to see you next week for another episode. Thank you for joining us. Good night.